After transmigrating into the body of the Mafia Boss's darling, I discovered that he had transformed from a celibate stoic into a man addicted to me. I ate until I was fat, then starved until I was thin. Every day I staged scenes where I had a fever so high I could fry an egg, just to make him chase me away, but whenever I tried to escape, I couldn't get away. Finally, one day some kidnappers actually dared to abduct me. Madam Po, do you have any idea how long I have been waiting for this day? Who would want to stay and play house? I immediately jumped into the kidnapper's van. Unexpectedly, I had barely exhaled a sigh of relief and enjoyed the feeling of freedom for long. Less than 5 minutes later, the boss had already led his men to storm the scene. The kidnapper was confused, wondering how he arrived so quickly. Madam Po, are you pranking me? You are making money by making trouble for me. I hurriedly tore the tape off my mouth and screamed, it is the watch, it has a GPS tracker. Open the window and throw it away immediately. The kidnapper's mouth twitched. Big sister, are you actually a spy? He planted on the inside. I transmigrated into the woman of the mafia boss in a novel. This was just a cannon fodder villainous role. The mafia boss Julian Yi and the original owner of this body had an arranged marriage. He followed his grandfather's will and married the granddaughter of his benefactor. But he treated her like a vase placed in the house, causing the villainess immense suffering. But I found this life to be incredibly blissful. High salary, leisurely work, and out of the 12 months in a year, he spent 10 months abroad. Most importantly, Julian was impotent, truly the standard of a perfect neighbor. Yet, on the 20th day after I transmigrated here, Julian suddenly flew back from abroad. I was cracking sunflower seeds while standing at the door to welcome him. It is not a holiday, why are you back? Julian glanced at me, then looked at the sunflower seed shells falling on his leather shoes, said nothing, and went directly upstairs. Since he was a mafia man, I dared not provoke him, and anyway, I did not need to serve him. During the day I teased cats and dogs, in the evening I went to bars to drink. In the middle of the night I wailed like a ghost, and the next day I slept straight until noon. Until the third night after Julian returned to the country. He finally could not bear it anymore. He opened the window, looked down at me cursing at ghosts downstairs, and spoke his first sentence since returning. Jia Shen, are you crazy? People say liquid courage makes you bold, so I actually dared to lift my chin. I raised my middle finger at the mafia boss and arrogantly shouted, hey kid, shut your stinking mouth, can you not see that I am busy here? The next day, Julian's subordinate told me. The last person who dared to raise a middle finger at Julian had their finger chopped off and thrown into the sea to feed the fish. Sobering up. I looked at the arrogant woman in the surveillance footage and wondered for the first time. Is there really anyone in this world with such guts? I decided I had to curry favor with Julian, swearing that for the month or two he was in the country, I would obediently tuck my tail and survive. But when I brought coffee to his study, I spilled it on a project contract worth tens of millions. Finally, I managed to cook a meal that wasn't burnt, yet it sent him straight to the hospital. In the hospital, I tried to care for him diligently, but I fell asleep and crushed his IV needle. Fighting to feed him medicine, my hand shook and splashed it straight into his nose. Julian's subordinate sighed, Madam, the young master has not encountered this much danger in years. I pretended to be deaf, turned my back, and grabbed an apple, trying to redeem myself by meticulously peeling it. Strange, this time the apple peel did not break. I happily held it up to show off. Julian, look at this, am I skilled? As the apple peel swung up, the blade grazed the back of his hand. Julian looked at the oozing blood and finally spoke up since entering the hospital. Gia, do you really want to kill me? I panicked, grabbed a tissue, and tremblingly dabbed at his wound, my will to survive fluctuating wildly. I swear I did not do it on purpose, boss, please do not kill me. Julian did not kill me. But survival was truly difficult. On the way out of the hospital, we were ambushed. For the first time in my life, I truly understood the meaning of a hail of bullets. Yet Julian remained as calm as an old man, his hand gripping me tightly as I tried to run away, dragging me straight into the forest. Do not be afraid, with me here, you will not die. Brother, they are here to kill you. If you hadn't held me so tight, I would have run away in the chaos just now. Of course, I did not dare say this aloud. I was afraid he would conveniently use a gun to send me, this burden, away first. Now I could only go with the flow. I looked up at him with adoration. Juju, you are so reliable. You must protect my little life. I worked so hard to transmigrate here, enjoying just a few days of glory and wealth. The money in my account wasn't even spent yet. The designer bag I pre-ordered would arrive in 2 days, and there were so many male models waiting for me at the club. I did not want to die. Yet just as I turned my head, someone approached the grass behind us. I panicked and wanted to warn Julian to shoot him, but I had only shouted, "Julian," when a bullet lodged straight into my shoulder. In the moment near death, I spread my arms to embrace the sky, using the most beautiful posture to accept my end. If I could transmigrate into a book again, let me be a truly wealthy female boss. But someone refused to let me enjoy this tragic moment. Julian hurriedly pulled me into his arms, his eyes deep. "Gia, why are you so stupid, taking a bullet for me with your own life?" "No, brother, you misunderstood. I never knew you loved me this much. I really only love your money." "Hush, do not speak anymore. I will not let you die." Oh, turns out I can still be saved, so I sensibly shut my mouth. Since I was shot, Julian seemed to turn into a different person, caring for me with all his heart, even taking a pillow from his bedroom to put on my bed. "What are you doing?" He calmly took off his shoes, climbed onto the bed, and lay down beside me. "It is convenient to take care of you." At first, I was a bit tense, but then I remembered he was impotent. What was I tense about? That was the theory, but in reality, having a man lying so close was hard to ignore. Moreover, since I was injured, Julian forcibly changed my lifestyle. At this time before, I should have just finished partying with male models and be excitedly cursing ghosts on the street. Now, I could only stare at the back of his neck, nostalgic for the days he was not around. Suddenly, he turned around, pulling me into his arms with one hand, locking me tight while carefully avoiding the wound on my left shoulder. His deep voice resonated above my head. "Stop moving around, the bed is shaking, I cannot sleep." "If you cannot sleep, go back to your room," I blurted out. "What do you mean the bed is shaking so you cannot sleep? Do not play dirty in the middle of the night." As soon as the words left my mouth, the room fell into a dead silence. I really wanted to slap myself twice. This mouth would die from being too fast. Just as I was about to turn over to reduce the awkward distance, I heard his hoarse voice warning me, "Do not move." My knee just touched something. "Aren't you impotent?" Silence, a terrifying silence. Julian suddenly leaned in gently. His voice was cold as a demon crawling up from hell. "Want to try what?" "How to try? Try in what way?" I forced a laugh, awkwardly rubbing my hands. "This is not very appropriate. Let me ask first, do I need to pay or take responsibility?" Honestly, Julian's appearance and aura were far superior to the male models I usually played with, but models only required payment. As for him, would he make me take responsibility? In this life, I did not want to take responsibility for anyone. I saw Julian run his hand over his face, his anger containment level hitting 99% as he gritted out each word. "Gia, you are the first woman who wants to keep me, and you even plan to do it for free." I suspected Julian was not repaying kindness but exacting revenge. He banned me from going to bars, banned alcohol, which was fine. But he even forbade me from going to the club to find male models. He said going to bars would tear my wound, and told me I could not drink alcohol while taking medication, and even controlled my sleep schedule. Fine, let's assume he was right about all that. But why couldn't I find male models? I was injured in my left shoulder, not my right hand. I could still hug them. Julian looked at me for a long time, closing his eyes as if restraining himself, then suddenly said something completely unrelated. "Gia, you are already married." "So what? I am married." "I know that." Julian glared at me for exactly 60 seconds before gritting his teeth and calling his subordinates to take Madam to the club. I happily ran to the club and ordered 10 beautiful male models at once. But before I could enjoy them, the manager knocked on the door, looking embarrassed. "Miss, none of your cards are going through." Immediately after, I received a call informing me that the designer bag I pre-ordered had been bought by someone else. No need to guess who the mastermind behind this series of events was. I was furious and rushed straight home. Seeing Julian leisurely drinking tea in the living room, he smirked and spoke casually. "Didn't you say those models would wither if they didn't see you? So, do they wither if they don't see you, or do they wither if they don't see your money?" I laughed coldly, snatched his teacup, drank it all, then spat saliva into the teapot before sprinting upstairs. Julian chased after me, grabbing my hand, glaring dangerously. "Gia, you are the first person who dares not to answer my question." I kept my cold smile. "Who do you think cares about you? It is just that you pay a high price." He narrowed his eyes. "You only love my money, is that it?" Julian suddenly laughed, laughing again. "Gia, very good." At midnight, clutching a pile of unfrozen bank cards, I sped to the club filled with handsome men. Handsome male models, "Sweet babies, your sister is here." But the club was empty. I froze, slowly turning to look at Julian's subordinate. "Where are the people?" He replied respectfully. The young master spent a large sum of money to hire them to go to the northwest to plant trees and raise pigs. If Miss really wants to meet them, the young master said you can take his private jet to the pig farm. Since the club closed, my life was no different from a nun in a temple. I began days of purifying the heart and limiting desires. No handsome men to look at, no gentle confidence, not even anyone to drink with. In a drunken haze, I heard a deep, magnetic voice. How much has she had to drink? 3 bottles. I tried to open my eyes to look at the person in front of me. Staring and staring. New handsome guy. Want to join my fish pond? I patted his face, clicking my tongue in praise. You look handsome, skin is smooth too, I like it. That voice was cold as ice, carrying a hint of innocence and unwillingness of a rookie new to the profession. Do you treat every man like this? Tesk, rookies are still too green. Making the biggest mistake of this profession, catching feelings for the client. I have money, do not talk about feelings. He chuckled softly, and immediately after, I was suddenly lifted into the air and thrown straight onto the soft bed. Seeing the handsome guy start unbuttoning his shirt, I righteously raised my hand to stop him. Wet. The manager said this club runs a legitimate business, there is no such service. The handsome guy moved closer, his strong heartbeat pounding against my palm. My purity index dropped sharply to 20%. If you have difficulties, just tell me, I advise you not to go astray. He snorted coldly, starting to undo his belt. I used all my strength to hold onto his pants button and zipper. I am a law-abiding citizen, I do not consume this type of service. But after pulling back and forth, rip, the pants tore. Purity index dropped to 9%. Listen to me, the pants tore themselves. Looking up under the flickering light, the handsome face gradually became clear. You look so familiar. I narrowed my eyes, bursting with joy. You look exactly like my husband. Ha, finally remembered you have a husband. This tone, this aura was too similar. Exactly the same. Wait, could it be Julian? Did he go out to become a gigolo? Did the family go bankrupt? Or was he forced to sell his body in the underworld? I hadn't even processed it yet when he glared at me threateningly. No, you no fear. Do you dare do it again next time? I stared at this face, finally sobering up. It must be a dream. A spring dream. Everyone says alcohol gives you courage, so I immediately flipped over, pinning Julian down. I patted his face twice, smirking provocatively. Why not dare? If it is legal, what is there to fear? Only the brave get to enjoy this world first. Ding, purity index officially hit negative. The next morning, my head was still groggy from the hangover, but when I saw the face in front of me, my entire nervous system immediately shut down. What is this? Haven't woken up from the dream yet. I closed my eyes, opened them, closed them, opened them. Forget it, no need to open them anymore. I slept with the Mafia Boss. How will I die? Can his subordinates share a few reference cases? He slowly opened his mouth, still not getting up. 4. I do not want to die. Julian's mouth twitched and he sighed. And it's 4 p.m. Turns out he said 4 o'clock. I almost thought he was counting down to my doom. I forced a smile, smiling until my face froze. But then he continued, sleeping with me. Was it that fun? The smile immediately extinguished. I pinched my thigh hard, trying to force out a few tears. Alcohol harms people. I wronged you. I was wrong. I won't dare do it again. Julian leaned closer, his finger twirling a lock of hair by my ear, winding and wending, as if holding a small knife slicing my skin stroke by stroke. He whispered in my ear, his voice low. What are you afraid of? Didn't you say we are legal? Although it was legal, it was too exhausting. I got fat then thin again. Lacked sleep and lost my appetite. Today I finally couldn't hold it in anymore and asked a question from the bottom of my heart. Julian, do you have any other women? That can't be right. Where is the heroine of this novel? This is clearly a cannon fodder villainous role. Why am I taking up all the screen time? Julian narrowed his eyes, staring at me. Gia, what do you mean? I carefully probed. I mean, have you been in contact with any other women recently? For example, a beautiful girl named Chloe Wang. He frowned, waving his hand to call a subordinate. Who is Chloe Wang? The subordinate glanced at me cautiously and whispered. She is the new intern at the company. Yesterday she was isolated by colleagues and almost fell, so the young master supported her a bit. Julian finally remembered. It was the girl who rushed into his private elevator on her first day of work. It was her. Turns out the heroine had appeared, and in such a cliché, God-given scenario. Look, a cold and heartless person like Julian actually remembered a girl he met only once. Surely soon, the position closest to him would belong to another girl. I looked at his profile. A sudden bitterness rising in my heart. Will he be gentle with her like this too? Will he bandage her wounds, wait for her to come home, cook for her, carry her upstairs, fire her? I turned sharply to look at him, but he turned to look at me. His face, previously cloudy, suddenly turned sunny. I did not expect you to care about me so much. A hint of shyness and hidden smugness appeared in the Mafia boss's eyes. Were you jealous just now? There was a time when I was extremely proud of having a high-paying, leisurely job with good benefits. Now I work overtime until midnight without overtime pay. Does that make sense? I flipped through the calendar, suppressing my joy, and carefully asked. Boss? You have been in the country for over 2 months, are you leaving soon? According to the plot, he is a CEO workaholic, spending 10 out of 12 months abroad. I calculated roughly. It should be time for him to go. Julian looked up from the pile of documents, a gleam of understanding in his eyes. Can't bear to part with me. Part with my foot. I forced a laugh, quickly agreeing. Haha, of course I can't bear it, but boss, career is most important, you just go with peace of mind. He smiled faintly. Rest assured. I see that you are actually hoping for me to leave so you can freely go to bars, drink and find handsome men. He looked back down at the documents, casually dropping a sentence that drove me to total despair. I plan to restructure the domestic industry, so I will stay here for most of this year. So when exactly are you leaving? I thought with a heart like dead ashes. 2 months. I tried to endure 2 more months, I really couldn't take it anymore. Julian thought for a moment then replied. Probably leaving in half a month. I was ecstatic, immediately lunging forward to cup his face and planting 2 big kisses on it. Seeing him freeze, I immediately changed my tone. I thought you were leaving right away. I was so sad. I didn't expect we still have half a month together, I am truly overjoyed. Julian suddenly reached out to pull me onto his lap, staring at me with amusement. Really? Then when I go abroad this time I will take you with me. I ran away, climbing the wall to escape, carrying a backpack full of valuables, planning to go to a city without Julian to live a peaceful life until the end of my days. But his villa was too remote. I walked for over an hour just to get down the mountain. Walked another half hour and finally found a bus stop. I let out a sigh of relief, but before I could sit down on the bench, a luxurious Bentley slowly rolled up in front of me. The car window rolled down, revealing a familiar cold, handsome face. Julian coldly dropped 2 words. Get in. I didn't dare breathe loudly, didn't dare argue. Didn't dare make a scene, immediately lowered my head and obediently carried my backpack into the car. Hemph, I struggled walking for an hour and a half, only to be hauled back by him in just 15 minutes. But these 15 minutes were even more miserable than the hour and a half. Sitting next to him, I felt like I was sitting on ice with needles pricking me, because the killing intent radiating from him was heavy enough to murder someone. Finally, Julian dragged me back to the room. The anger suppressed the entire journey finally erupted. He threw all the items in my backpack onto the floor, his eyes looking as if he would throw me next. Done for. Today is my death anniversary. I bowed my head, closing my eyes to await punishment. But after getting angry by himself, he suddenly smiled and asked me, "Are you tired? Should I say tired or not tired?" Oh God, that weird smile. Pervert, just shoot me once and get it over with. I had even imagined the posture of kneeling to beg for mercy. If you are tired, go to sleep. Julian disappeared all night. Usually, no matter how much I angered him, he would still wrap his arms and legs around me, lying on the other side of the bed. This was the first time since he moved into this room that he didn't sleep here. I thought he finally hated me. But the next day he still appeared on time at the dining table. Gia, I have thought it through, force does not bring happiness. You are very right. But the fruit I have my eyes on must be eaten. He lifted his eyes to look at me, and in those deep eyes was a possessiveness bordering on pathological. So I cannot let you leave. I was so angry I flipped the table. Julian, are you sick? The following days I began a battle of wits and courage with Julian, determined to escape. Still that corner of the wall, still climbing the wall. But this time, standing at the foot of the wall was someone who should have been fast asleep. With him were 10 Dobermans as big as buffaloes. He stood there leisurely, looking at me perched on the wall, smiling kindly. Want to go for a walk with me and the dogs? The next day, all the walls were lined with high-voltage electric fences. So I pretended to be depressed and obedient for a few days, waiting for him to relax before suggesting going out shopping. I will go with you. Don't panic, I planned this. How could he expect the fitting room of this store to connect to the warehouse, and the warehouse to have a back door leading to the back street? I pretended to choose a pile of clothes, glanced at him sitting on the sofa scrolling through his phone, then quietly slipped out of the store. Ha brat, relying on you to stop me, madam. I turned my head, a long line of black suits appeared out of nowhere, surrounding me tightly. The door behind opened and closed. Someone calmly stood behind me, gently holding my hand, his tone gentle but dangerous. "Silly girl. Got lost did you? Why did that affectionate, silly girl sound like he was calling me stupid? Just as I desperately wanted to give up, I was kidnapped." Who would have thought? Right in the parking lot of Julian's company, I was targeted by kidnappers. Two fierce kidnappers glared threateningly. Best be obedient. Otherwise, eyes at this van. Before the kidnappers could react, I had opened the car door and jumped straight in. "What are you two staring for? Get in the car quickly." Finally a chance to escape Julian's claws. But less than 5 minutes later, the murderous mafia boss rushed in. A convoy of black cars chased right behind like a pack of hungry wolves. The kidnapper sweated cold bullets in panic. How did he arrive so fast? I blinked, suddenly looking down at the watch on my wrist. Damn it. This is the watch Julian put on me 2 days ago, warning me absolutely not to take it off. I hurriedly tore the tape off my mouth and screamed. "The watch has a GPS tracker. Take it off and throw it out the window quickly." The kidnappers looked at me blankly as if they didn't understand what I just said. I was so angry I tore the ropes myself, took off the watch myself and threw it out myself. Done. I even angrily kicked the kidnapper next to me twice. "Are you deaf? Working so stupidly like this, how will you have a future?" Still not satisfied after kicking, I slapped the driver hard. "What are you looking at? Can't you see the car chasing right at our ass? Step on the gas, faster." The driver startled and stomped on the gas. The kidnapper in the back twisted his mouth. "Big sister. Are you actually a spy?" Julian planted on the inside. Before he finished speaking, a powerful force crushed the vehicle. 2 black cars sandwiched the van from both sides, and another one rammed the rear continuously. 2 minutes later, I was taken into Julian's car. His hand was cold as ice, his eyes burning with fire, but his voice was gentle and coaxing. "Do not be afraid, I am taking you home." I looked despairingly at the 2 kidnappers, seeing them beaten black and blue by his subordinates and lying on the ground. Then I very righteously burrowed into Julian's chest, my high-pitched voice faking a tremble. Boo-hoo-hoo. I was so scared. But when the parking lot surveillance camera was played, the scene of me happily jumping into the van was replayed by Julian over and over. Rewind back and forth, truly the calm before the storm. Damn it, am I the one who is damned? My heart pounded. I watched him toss the iPad aside, stand up, and walk toward me. The moment his large hand raised, I squeezed my eyes shut, shrinking my neck and raising my hands to surrender, but the pain never came. His cold hand gently brushed past my ear, his deep voice whispering. "They threatened you, didn't they?" Right. His cold palm slid down, gently grazing my slender neck. "You didn't intend to run away from me, right?" No, absolutely not. It was all because those 2 bastards forced me." Julian chuckled softly, rewarded me with a gentle kiss on the cheek. "Very good." Julian disappeared again. He didn't come home for 3 consecutive days, but he left his closest subordinate to watch over me. I asked suspiciously, "Where did he go?" The subordinate replied respectfully, "The young master's schedule must be kept secret." "Then when will he return?" "This must also be kept secret." I narrowed my eyes. "Is there anything I am allowed to know?" The subordinate wavered, hesitated for a long time before carefully speaking. "The young master is sincere with you, madam. I have never seen him care for anyone like this. Please do not run away anymore, madam. With how much you talk back to the young master, anyone else would have been chopped into pieces." Theoretically, Julian was both handsome and wealthy, and he spoiled me. He was truly a man so rare you couldn't find him even with a lantern. Moreover, he had completely ignored the heroine, so I could be totally assured staying by his side. But he was too clingy. 7 days a week he made me work overtime all 7 days. Even when sleeping, he wrapped his arms and legs around me like a python. If I went to the bathroom for more than 10 minutes, he would knock on the door. If I didn't answer, he would kick the door open immediately. When eating, I was forced to sit right next to him. If I sat across the long table, he assumed I was starting a cold war. When going out, I had to maintain contact 24/7. If I missed just one call, someone would appear in front of me 10 minutes later. He forbade drinking, forbade going to bars, and sent all the male models in the club to the Northwest to raise pigs. Just because I praised an actor in a movie for being handsome, he got jealous and hired a whole team of internet trolls to smear the boy online, claiming he looked like a pig. That boy was only 17 years old. Is he sick? No. He is definitely sick. I am not his wife. A prisoner in a cell has more freedom than me. The subordinate was stunned hearing me vent my anger, his lips moving for a long time, not knowing whether to continue advising or to comfort me first. Madam, I raised my hand to stop him. Do not look at me with those pitying eyes, you are pitiful too. Your young master has a temperamental personality, happy and sad at random, and is also a pervert. How many years have you actually endured him? The subordinate was just about to say something when I cut him off. Stop, I know what you intend to say. In your eyes, he has no flaws, right? Madam, you really must listen to me. At this moment, his eyes were not only full of sympathy but also mixed with helpless despair. The young master is standing right behind you. I stiffly turned my head. After not coming home for 3 days, Julian was now standing right behind me, a cold, deadly smile hanging on his face. Continue. Anything else? In that moment, everyone in the room felt a resentful aura from hell. What happened to your hand? Only then did I notice Julian's hand was injured and heavily bandaged. Why was he injured? Didn't he have bodyguards by his side? Was he ambushed again? Suddenly I remembered he had left his most capable bodyguard here with me. Could it be that because of that, his enemies made a move? If I had been more obedient and hadn't played tricks to escape, would he have avoided this injury? Thinking of this, I suddenly felt guilty. I gently took his hand, worried yet not daring to touch it hard. Looking up, I saw his cold face had softened significantly. Julian, are you sick? Already injured? Why are you smiling? He lowered his eyes to look at me, curling his lips slightly. Yes, you are right, I am sick. That night, it was rare that he didn't wrap around me like a vine, only placing his hand on my waist to sleep. Feeling relieved, I immediately slept soundly. But in the middle of the night, the person beside me suddenly sat up. I was sleepy, asking vaguely, what is wrong? In the dark he was silent for a few seconds before suddenly blurting out a pointless sentence. Jia, you seem to get along well with Skylar Jiang, don't you, huh? What do you think of Skylar? I didn't bother to care, just turned my back to sleep. But he wouldn't let go, pulling me back to answer. I am annoyed. Answer what? Who is Skylar? He suddenly fell silent for 2 seconds, then happily hugged me and lay down. Go to sleep, be a good girl. The next morning, the more I thought about it, the more wrong it felt, so I secretly asked Julian's most loyal subordinate. Do you know who Skylar is? The subordinate looked at me blankly, scratching his head. Madam, I am Skylar. A few days later, I accidentally learned that Julian was injured because of me. It turned out the kidnappers in the company parking lot the other day were sent by his enemies, aiming to test if I was his weakness. He personally led his men to storm the opponent's territory, beating the mastermind severely, completely intending to kill the chicken to scare the monkey. The subordinate recounted what Amian said. That day the young master took action personally. Madam probably does not know that the young master has not dirtied his hands in many years. I lowered my eyes and listened without speaking, considering that he stood up for me. Tonight I would temporarily allow him to wrap around me while sleeping. But waking up in the middle of the night, there was no one beside me. I woke up more than halfway, following the light in the hallway to the study. He wasn't sitting at the desk processing documents as usual, but was setting up a Go board on the tea table. For someone who was often abroad like him, he should have preferred chess. But in front of him was a Go board, holding both white and black pieces. Move by move back and forth. On the board there was only overflowing loneliness. He didn't look up, just spoke softly. How long do you intend to stand outside the door? I walked in, pretending to be calm. Why haven't you slept yet? He reached out to grab my wrist, pulling gently to seat me on his lap. His face buried in my neck, his voice low. Jia, do you know? I am truly terrified of losing you. I froze, wanting to turn my head to look at him, but he hugged me even tighter. Did you have a nightmare? Today is the death anniversary of my younger brother. A few years ago, he sat in my car by mistake, was chased by an unmarked truck, and finally plunged into the river. He died in my place. His voice was a bit hoarse. I didn't know how to comfort him, I could only hold his hand, speaking weakly. It is not your fault. He chuckled lightly, continuing in a hoarse voice. And my parents too, they all died at the hands of enemies. Not in an accident as announced to the outside world. Perhaps one day I will also suddenly disappear from this world. I had never thought that Julian would disappear from this world. After all, this was a novel centered around him. He should have had the male lead's halo, invulnerable to swords and guns, dying and coming back to life. But my appearance had changed too many things. The heroine had lost her halo, they didn't fall in love, we didn't divorce, everything became an unknown variable. He said in a low voice. Imprisoning you beside me might not be a wise choice, but I cannot imagine you leaving. Whether starting a new life, forgetting me completely, Or hugging another man whispering sweet words, just thinking about it is enough to drive me crazy. Gia, it is all your fault. Without you, my life was originally just a pool of black water, without light, without color, and without weaknesses. It is you who made me look forward to tomorrow, made me fear death. So Gia, you must take responsibility and stay by my side. I looked at the board in silence, not answering. In this world, who can take responsibility for whose life? No obligation, no ability. Empty promises are meaningless. The room sank into silence, no one spoke, no one forced anything, only time quietly passed. I pretended to yawn and rubbed my eyes, saying I was sleepy to find an excuse to leave this suffocating atmosphere, but the arm wrapped around my waist didn't budge. Stay with me. I glared, trying to pry his hand off. Boss, if we don't sleep, the rooster will crow soon. He spoke softly and slowly. My younger brother loved playing Go. I was the one who directly taught him. Since he passed away, I have had no one to play with. What does that have to do with me? I am inherently selfish, cold, heartless, stony, and ruthless. Alright, he is indeed a bit pitiful. I pouted. Playing Go, right, I will play with you. His eyes flashed with a hint of a smile. I will teach you. No need, I wanna play Gomoku. Back in the day I roamed the world, winning everywhere I went. Don't come crying to me begging for mercy later. He smiled faintly. Oh, then I look forward to 5 minutes from now. Wet, I made a wrong move just now. No, I should move here. This round doesn't count, I haven't used my full potential yet. Come on, switch seats, the feng shui here is bad. 3 hours later. Julian propped his head up, his spirit listless like a withering flower. Not playing anymore, going to sleep. After 50 consecutive losses, my spirit was high, more awake than ever. Don't dream, you won all night, at least let me win one game. Sleep what sleep, keep playing. Before, I racked my brain finding ways to escape. Partly because I was a bit afraid of Julian. A man like him was both seductive and dangerous. But now I found him pitiful, very pitiful. Wrapping around me even when sleeping like a puppy with no sense of security. If he couldn't find me, he would panic and run everywhere. When angry, he only knew how to glare at me but couldn't bear to do anything. Truly cute. I rested my chin on my hand, looking out the car window to admire Julian. Just now I only glanced at that handsome partner a few times, and he immediately darkened his face and stuffed me into the car, not only blocking my view with his body but also occasionally glancing at me with fierce eyes. I exclaimed, "Don't you find him very cute?" Sitting in the passenger seat. Skylar rolled his eyes at the sky. "I do not see it, madam. The young master's look just now was quite terrifying. Terrifying. Why do I feel like he is acting spoiled with me? Skylar, don't you find him very much like a dog species, the type that is fierce but super cute?" Just then, the car door opened and Julian stepped in. He coldly glanced at Skylar. Skylar immediately stiffened, sitting upright and looking straight ahead, completely deaf. Julian slowly turned to look at me, raising an eyebrow. "What are you talking about so happily? Jealous again?" I answered honestly, "Talking about Shanxi specialties." He narrowed his eyes. "What specialty?" I giggled. "Old Chen vinegar." Julian was truly pitiful. Finally someone recognized his cuteness, but that person was about to die. On the way back to the villa from the dinner party, we were ambushed. A fierce gunfight broke out in the desolate suburbs. The tires were shot and exploded. Julian dragged me to hide in the mountains. Seeing reinforcements hadn't arrived and people beside him falling one by one, he decisively made a decision. "Hide here, do not make a sound. In a moment I will lure them down the mountain. Before dawn Skylar will lead people to find you." "No, that is too dangerous." He hugged me tightly, placing a light kiss on the top of my head. "Going with me is even more dangerous. Wait for me here obediently. I will come back to pick you up after I handle it." Blood was still flowing ceaselessly on his arm, his black suit sleeve completely soaked. If not to protect me, perhaps he wouldn't have been injured. I gritted my teeth, looking up to kiss his lips. "You must live to come back and see me." But before he could get down the mountain, he was surrounded, 5 against 1. I hid behind a tree, my whole body trembling with anxiety. Both sides raised guns in a standoff, seeming to say something. I quietly moved, finding a nearby tree to hide. Just as I hid well, the first gunshot rang out and the situation immediately became chaotic. Julian took down 2 enemies but was shot in the left leg. I saw the opponent continue to raise his gun. Without time to think, I rushed forward, using a scissor kick to strike his head. My sudden appearance made everyone pause for a second. In just that second, Julian immediately fired, shooting straight into the arm aiming at me. I spun around and kicked the guy down. Just as he and I intended to join forces to handle the last one, a small sound rang out behind me. In that moment, time seemed to stop. I saw the horrified expression on Julian's face. He shouted, "Careful," while raising his gun. I turned to dodge, but 2 bullets, one in the front and one in the back, pierced straight through my abdomen and chest. This was the second time I was shot, but it didn't seem as painful as the first time. The sound of rapid gunfire rang in my ears again, but I no longer had the strength to see the outcome. Oh gods, if there really are gods, please protect him. Pain flooded in. I felt someone hugging me tightly. Warm liquid dripped onto my face. I didn't know if it was tears or blood. Gia, do not be afraid, I will save you. Do not sleep, open your eyes and look at me. Look at me, I beg you. I tried to open my eyes, seeing Julian like this for the first time. His face was pale, his eyes empty, confused, and panicked. He was like a chaotic mess, trying to hold on to something but unable to grasp anything. Clearly last time I was also shot, yet he was so calm and steady. I reached out to wipe his tears. Stop crying, it is like rain falling, it is embarrassing if your subordinates see. Gia, are you crazy? I told you to stay put. When will you ever listen to me? Although it didn't fit the situation at all, I really wanted to laugh. Just now he was crying and begging me to open my eyes. Now that I opened them, he scolded me. I swallowed a mouthful of metallic blood, speaking with difficulty. I once said I would not take responsibility for anyone. But today I want to take responsibility for you. Julian, do not be sad, I am not dying, just returning to my rightful place. Do not forget me. The moment I closed my eyes, someone screamed my name, tearing their heart and lungs. Suddenly I felt very sad, because I no longer had the chance to tell him. Actually, my name is Lena Ye. Opening my eyes again, I woke up in a strange hospital room. Outside the door, people were chatting, saying there was a car accident, the driver fled, no relatives, no one to take care of. Just waiting for her to wake up to figure it out. This girl is so pitiful, in a coma for days, who knows when she will wake up. Let's go, let's go. Someone pressed the bell. Footsteps faded away. I stared vaguely at the ceiling. Before transmigrating into the book, I was sitting in a taxi reading a novel. Then, the driver braked suddenly, and a truck behind crashed straight in. When I opened my eyes again, I had become Gia. And now I have returned to a world without Julian, back to being Lena Ye with no relatives. No one by my side. I lay numbly on the bed, my heart empty, my mind filled with images of Julian desperately begging me before death. He lost his parents, lost his younger brother, and now lost me too. I shouldn't have told him not to forget me, otherwise every passing year he would have another day of pain. Julian. Julian, what is wrong? Where does it hurt? Doctor, call the doctor quickly. I opened my eyes in a daze, looking at the worried face in front of me. Boo-hoo-hoo, is this terminal lucidity? Am I about to die again? Terminal lucidity, the moment of recovery before death. Did getting hit by a car break my head and cause hallucinations? Or is this the moment of terminal lucidity before I die again? Otherwise, how could I see Julian in this world? He stroked my hair gently, his voice hoarse. Silly. With me here you will not die, not die. But then, who were the nurses outside talking about just now? I panicked slightly, squeezing his hand tight. Julian. Who am I? He frowned at me for a while, then turned to the doctor who just ran over. Didn't you say she was only injured in 2 places? Send her for a brain check immediately to see if she hit her head somewhere. Why is she talking nonsense right after waking up? It seems I truly have a big destiny. Shot twice and still didn't die. I took a breath, sincerely holding his hand. Julian, this is fate's will, from now on I will treat you well. Unexpectedly, he wasn't moved at all. Instead, his face scrunched up tighter, coldly grabbing the doctor's collar. Go arrange the checkup quickly. She definitely hit her head hard. After being discharged and returning home, I kept my promise, deciding to seriously live well with Julian. But he often looked at me with a deep, incomprehensible gaze. What is it? Is there something on my face? He hesitated for a while but still walked closer, carefully taking the knife from my hand. The kitchen is greasy. Let the chef handle the cooking. I snatched the knife back, smiling gently. I decided that from now on, I will cook a meal for you every day. Are you worried I will cut my hand? Do not be afraid, I already know how to slice potatoes into strips. He wanted to speak but stopped. At this moment, Skylar came to deliver documents, standing at the kitchen door sincerely advising, Madam, the young master just recovered from food poisoning a few days ago, please do not torture him anymore. Otherwise, I am afraid all the toilets in the villa will overflow. I was depressed for a few days, then accidentally saw a video tutorial on crocheting online. Thinking that Valentine's Day was coming, I wanted to crochet a scarf for Julian. The next day, having prepared the kit, I understood the theory, understood the technique, only my hands were still trying to adapt. Skylar stood by watching for a while then suddenly said, "Madam, you dropped a stitch." "Huh? Where?" I pouted. "Why didn't you say so earlier? I crocheted past that long ago." He calmly said, "You can unravel it and do it again," then quickly took the hook and did a few basic stitches. "Look, just like this you can reconnect it. If you connect from here it creates a pattern, if you loop through here." I looked at him in amazement. "Unexpected, Skylar, you are also a professional crocheter." He shook his head seriously. "No madam, I just learned from the video on your iPad." On Valentine's Day, I solemnly presented the scarf with uneven stitches, loose here and tight there, with a few large holes remaining, to Julian. He turned it over and over looking for a long time, finally only mildly criticizing the color. "Luckily you didn't think of crocheting a hat for me. It is the thought that counts." I narrowed my eyes at him. "How did you know I planned to crochet a hat for you next year? I still have a lot of yarn left, it would be a waste not to crochet." He gritted his teeth, growling. "Gia. Dare to gift it and see." Life passed peacefully. I thought I would live forever with Julian as Gia. Until one day, a fortune teller came to the villa. Strange. I suddenly felt a chill on the back of my neck muttering, "Makes sense. The house is too big, many rooms are empty. Easy to have unclean things." Skylar also panicked slightly, glancing up at the second floor. I thought wealthy people like Julian would be very superstitious about feng shui and ghosts. But he just smirked. "Scammer. Even if there were real ghosts, they would have been scared away by you long ago. With that midnight howling of yours. Dark past, do not want to remember." I rested my chin on my hand, trying to salvage the situation. "But I haven't cursed at ghosts lately. Who knows if they might have crawled back." Out of curiosity, I decided to let the fortune teller in. As a result, as soon as he saw me, he screamed, "Oh my, there is something on madam." Before I could ask what it was, Julian coldly waved his hand. "Skylar, throw this scammer out." Although I knew this was a familiar trick of fortune tellers, listening for free didn't cost anything anyway. I intentionally teased him. "You chased the master away, aren't you afraid the thing on me will harm you?" He lazily leaned back in his chair, replying slowly, "If I didn't chase him away, I was afraid he would harm you." I laughed. "Harm me for what? I am not a ghost." "Wait, do you actually think there is something on me?" He was silent for a while then slowly lowered his eyes. "I know you are not Gia." My heart suddenly stopped. He spoke in a low voice. Every word like a knife stabbing into my heart. "From the day you transmigrated here, I felt something was wrong. The old Gia would not react like that seeing me return. She also didn't like going to bars, drinking, finding handsome men, and especially didn't know how to fight, let alone roundhouse kicks or leg locks. Most importantly, she never had me in her eyes. But you at least you like my money." I raised my hand to stop him. "Nuff. Every sentence you say stabs my heart." Then I told him the truth about my identity. I came from another world, accidentally entering Gia's body due to a car accident. I was not an evil spirit harming people, he didn't need to fear me. Julian looked at me calmly, speaking softly. "I am not afraid that you are a ghost, I am only afraid that you will leave me." Actually, in the old world I was just a lonely soul, no roots, no family, no one cared. Even if one day I suddenly disappeared, no one would notice, no one would remember that I ever existed. But when I drifted to this world, I was no longer lonely. I got used to the existence of a person, and also learned how to love. I looked at him, smiling gently. I will not leave, because you are here."